Welcome to Clarity and Purpose. Our world is full of people who are overworked and overwhelmed. They lose focus on what matters, struggle to find a vision for the future, and lose time with those they love. We help businesses and their teams clearly understand their purpose and help them communicate more effectively. I'm your host, James Thorne. I'm joined by my co-host, Jake Jordan. Hey, Jake, how are your New Year's resolutions going?
Fantastic. Super good.
You're like, wait a second, what are those? What are those?
False. Not true.
Well, hey, this is what's so much fun about this guest. I know him personally. We're good friends. We kind of jump into that a little bit, but I knew what he was going to say because I'm on the same page as New Year's resolutions are kind of not as impactful as the goals and aspirations you're building. So you're going to hear more about that in this episode. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right in and introduce the guest like we do every week. He's just a redneck from the backwoods of Louisiana. He's a dynamic communicator using his voice to build and encourage. He spent 3 years out in Graham, Texas, building one of High Ridge Church's campuses, taking a small church to now what is one of the most successful churches in Graham, Texas. He's now leading a Fort Worth campus for High Ridge Church. He's been on 5 continents. He's been at over 200 school assemblies. A dynamic communicator, one of my good friends. Please welcome Pastor Zach Gryder. Hey, Zach, how are you doing, man?
Doing great, bro. Glad to be here today. Excited to get to spend some time with you and learn a few things.
No, are you kidding? I'm here to learn a few things. That's why you're here. You're the special guest. I'm not teaching today. No, dude, I appreciate you taking some time. I know there's a lot going on, even in your life. Beginning of this year, it's been kind of crazy. A big whirlwind for you. Maybe we'll dive into that a little bit, but I just appreciate you taking time. And this is, for anyone, it's busy. January, end of the year. But I want to just give a stat. I think this was a good thing because we kind of talked about it a little bit. A good theme for today is we're at the end of January, and New Year's resolutions are so much fun, right? Oh man, they're great. Well, the University of Scranton put out they did a research, and it said that 8% of people actually follow through with their New Year's resolutions by the end of the year.
Wow.
Which is
stick with them.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Good job. Kudos to all you 8%. So at the end of January, almost 50% of them drop out completely. So they don't even make it a month.
Yeah.
So we're already at the end of January. So all of you that aren't even doing it anymore, good job to you. Okay. So why do you think that is? What's your kind of perspective on that?
Well, first of all, I think, when we hear the idea of New Year's resolutions, because a lot of us, I bet most people watching this weren't really surprised by those statistics because we've all been there, right? And so New Year's resolution, that whole phrase or idea has somewhat become a cliche for many of us. However, I do want to mention and point out, I think it's a great idea. I think it's great for every person to start off the year fresh with, okay, how am I going to get better this year? And that's really the foundation of New Year's resolutions. It's how am I as a human being on this planet this year? What am I going to do different to make myself better? Now, your question was, why do I think so many people fall off? And again, I've been guilty of that, but I will say that over the past several years, I've actually been very successful at sticking with my goals. So for me, I usually set, and I know a lot of statistics and leadership books will tell you not to do more than 8 goals. But I'm usually going to be somewhere in the 8 to 10 goal range for the year. And the reason I started creating that many goals in my career path and what I do is because I found I'm a sprinter. I'm a go-getter. I'm going to hit it really hard, really fast. And I found that if I just stuck to 3 goals, I was done by March. And I was having to create new goals for myself. And so, again, some leadership books will tell you to stick to a minimal amount. For me, it's going to fall in that 8 to 10 range. I would say over the past 3 years for sure, I have completed 95% of those 30 goals over the past 3 years. Now, the way that I've done that is by having a plan. And going back to your question, that's where people fall off. They know what they want to do, and they have decided that by doing this thing, they believe it's going to make them better. I think where they fall off the wagon, if you will, is that they play the short game and not the long game. And so it's like me coming to you and saying, "Hey James, I want to be able to do bench press 500 pounds by the end of the year." And then you come to me and say, "Okay, well here's what you got to do, Zach. You got to do 100 push-ups a day." Okay, so I hit that hard for a couple of weeks, and I don't see any progress. So a lot of people miss out on this idea of compounding interest, right? That a little bit every day builds over time, and it's a snowball effect. So you only get that snowball effect though if you have a plan, if you have a strategic plan. So what I have found in my own life is that if I'm going to set a goal that I want to accomplish in a year, a New Year's resolution, if you will, that's my big goal, right? Well, I don't just stop there. Now what I'm going to do is reverse engineer that goal. Okay, what are some smaller things that I need to achieve over time? And I'm going to reverse engineer that goal all the way down to what is my first step? And after that first step, what's my next one? And so I create mini goals within my larger goals. And I think that's what a lot, and it took me time to learn that again. I think I've become good at that. I'm not great at it, but I've become good at it just in the past few years. I think that's where a lot of people miss out. They create these goals or these things that they think are going to make them better, but they just don't create the plan. They miss out on that opportunity.
That's good. Yeah, we even in our family and then our business too, we've adapted the same thing where it's not the New Year's resolution, it's a goal, but even further, it's an aspiration. Who do I want to become, like you were saying? So I guess there's
Yeah,
different ways you could perceive that or make that your own. But it's like, okay, what do I want to become at the end of this next year? And
yeah,
then I think breaking down exactly what you said, we would just call them projects because a project has a beginning and an end.
yeah. That's
Now,
right.
there might be 4 projects to get me to that one goal or aspiration that I want to become.
Correct.
But then it's like, great, what project am I in and where am I at?
Yeah,
Versus, like you're saying, this big audacious thing at the end, and you have no idea how to get there, or you just don't put in the work daily to
yeah.
kind of see that happen.
Yeah, and I would also say, for those that are watching or coming up with New Year's resolutions or goals, that again, the foundation of these are things that you want to accomplish that are going to make you better as a
Yeah.
human being, whether that's in your career or just as a husband, a father, or just a person where you just want to add value to this world and leave it in a better place than you found it. Remember, for me, when I approach goals, um, when I set goals for myself this year, what I'm doing is I'm trying to systematize or create habits with those goals. Here's what I mean. I'm just going to throw one out there. This isn't one of my goals this year, but I'm just throwing it out there. Let's say I want to speak Spanish, right? Well, I want to create a system or a habit where I'm going to learn Spanish in 2021, but I want that to continue to be a part of my life moving forward. Does that make sense?
Right.
So a lot of people also ask the question, well, when do I know I'm finished with a goal? Well, for me, when it comes, especially New Year's resolutions or goals that we're trying to do that make us better, when that goal becomes second nature to me or a habit for me, now I can move on to the next thing. Does that make sense?
Right.
So when doing 100 push-ups a day are now habit for me, it's no longer a goal anymore. It's a habit now. It's a part of my life. It's a part of who I am. Now I
Right.
can add a new goal on it and move forward from there. So my point is this: when you're attacking these goals or these New Year's resolutions this year, and you reverse engineer those, the whole idea and the end goal is to create habit in those things that you're trying to better yourself at. And once they become habit, now it's just a part of who you are. It's second nature. Like I don't have to set the goal this year to brush my teeth twice a day, right? That doesn't have to be a goal for me.
I'm
All right. It
glad.
used to
That's good.
be a few years ago, being from Louisiana, we brush our teeth once a week. Now it's just habit for I'm just kidding. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
so when you set a goal for making yourself better, I would say that most goals, and again, this isn't like goals for your job or things like that. I'm talking about goals within making you a better person or building your character or whatever, sharpening your skills. You want those goals to become habits. And so keep that in mind when you're developing your plan over time. Is my point. You want to build habits that are going to sustain those skills or whatever you gain over this year long term.
We love to do work with organizations that are supporting a cause or a people group as a part of their business model. We want you to nominate a company that is doing amazing work for a cause or a people group. Now here's what they will win. We'll be giving away our full clarity of message and sales funnel that is a part of our work growth plan. This is the exact framework we're taking clients through in 90 to 120 days to grow their business. This includes sessions that create a clear marketing message, creation of a lead generator, build a sales email funnel, including 3 months of active campaign, a full year subscription to Business Made Simple University. That's over $10,000 worth of value and prizes. Plus, we're giving away 4 other prizes for the runners up. So go to quirkgrowth.com/giveaway to nominate someone or sign yourself up if this is you. Tell us about the people you help and why you would love to grow more. We are excited to hear about all the organizations that get nominated and the ones we get to help during this giving season. The majority of what people usually set when they looked up the New Year resolution piece was about weight and health, working out. And I think what's great about that is it's not about saying I'm going to lose 30 pounds.
Correct.
It's not about saying, oh, I need to go down, a weight or a waist size or whatever. It's about
That's good.
the consistent habit of working out and
Right.
staying healthy. Okay, great. What does that mean? How can I get that better? Maybe you've gone a month and you've done the same thing. Okay, cool. How do we improve that? Because I think even for us, like me, I love food. I love food that ain't good for me. And
Same.
and I've got to create habits of not going after the things that I really want or things that I just need to go out. I need go after things that I need. So that's
Yeah.
really good. I like that.
That's you bring up a valid point there. If for anyone that's watching that is trying to change or create lifestyle habits, here's where I think people mess up. And let's go to the weight training or weight loss goals. So for me, I stay in pretty good shape. I work out. I have for a very long time. Here's what I would encourage anyone watching that has lifestyle changing goals. Where people mess up in the workout industry and world or with their goals is they'll set a goal of, I want to lose 30 pounds. Okay. And what happens is to a lot of those, to the 8% or even more, if they stick with it for a few months, they achieve the goal and now they've arrived, right? Where do we go from here? Well, I can't lose another 30 pounds. So here would be my encouragement to anyone that's listening. When you're attacking a lifestyle change or goal, don't set the goal on a number that you want to achieve. Instead, set the goal on the habit. So for me, my goal every year is to work out no less than 3 times a week. So I don't have goals on, I want to be able to bench press this, run this, achieve this. I don't do that because I will achieve that. What I want to do is I want to stick with the goal, setting the habit as my goal. You tracking with me? So I know that I'm going to succeed every year, and I'm going to succeed in 2021 because I'm going to work out no less than 3 times a week. So see, my goal is setting the habit, not a numerical goal or touchdown that I can achieve that I got to turn around and go, okay, where do I go from here? 3 times a week. So that's a word of encouragement for anybody that's setting a lifestyle habit, even with eating, exercise or whatever, reading, whatever it is that you're doing. Set the habit as the goal and not some number that you will achieve. If you stick with it, you'll achieve it. Where are you going to go from there? Set the habit as the goal would be my encouragement.
No, that's good. So we're at the end of the month and some of you are like, great, I've already failed. I don't know what to do. Or maybe I've never approached it this way. What would you say to those that don't know how to discover what they want to become, right? Like if we're looking at the end, if we're seeing those goals into the year, they're not sure how to discover what they want to become. What would you say to that?
That's a good question. So you're asking if they've already set those goals, and even with setting those goals, they're still not sure what they want to become. Is that what you're saying?
I think it could be either or. I mean, they may not even had goals this year because they've never
I got you.
set them, right? So
Yeah.
they're just stuck.
Yeah, I would say for anyone that is struggling with setting goals, I would start with 3. Again, I told you I typically do 8 to 10. Now that my 8 to 10 goals are going to include personal things for me, personal development, but also goals for what I do for a living, right? Um, and to me, they're the same, and they're just equally as important. Equally as important. For someone that's just getting started, I'd say, man, just start with 3. What are 3 things that you think, if you knew how to do, or what are some things that you need to stop doing? Sometimes goals could be that you've got some bad habits in your life, you just need to stop. So maybe it's something you need to start, or maybe it's something you need to stop. What are 1 to 3 of those things that fall into either one of those categories that you believe that will get you one step closer to being an effective human being and making a difference in this world? Whatever your job is, despite what your job is, what are those 1 to 3 things? Set that goal. And then, like I said earlier, reverse engineer that, right? So let's say you don't work out at all. And by the end of the year, you want to have a habit of working out 3 times a week. Well, step number 1, we need to get a gym membership. We need to get some accountability. Just start creating small steps, because again, by the end of the year, you want it to be habit for yourself to be in the gym 3 days a week, right? So again, reverse engineering that. That would be my encouragement. How are you going to better yourself? And there are so many ways to do. I mean, well, I will spend the rest of my life doing that. And I would say that I am somewhat self-aware, and I'm never satisfied with my leadership capabilities or my skills. I'm always trying to fine tune those things. And I think all of us as human beings should be doing that. So just know that there's never this mountain peak of arrival that you're going to get to one day where there's nothing else to work on. We're always going to be working on those things. So that's where I'll start. Is there something I need to start doing? And is there something I need to stop doing? Where do I want to be a year from now? Reverse engineer that. And again, I'm setting the habit as the goal. And that's typically how I approach that.
Cool. So the title of this show is Clarity and Purpose. And purpose is such a big driving force of why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So how is it easier to set these type of goals when you know what your purpose is?
Oh man, it's extremely easier, a lot easier. I would say for anyone watching right now, man, if you have not defined what your purpose is on this planet for however long you're going to be here, that needs to be your goal this year. Forget any other goal. That needs to be your goal. And I promise you this, if you will spend the next 11 months self-reflecting and digging into who you are, what makes you tick, what gets you excited, what your why is, you will find and be able to articulate what your purpose is by the end of the year. I was able to discover my purpose for myself about 5 years ago. So my purpose, I always tell people this, my purpose on this planet is to use my voice to build and encourage people. And whether that's in an interview like this, whether that's at a coffee, a lunch, a staff meeting, an oversight on a platform in front of hundreds or thousands of people, no matter where I find myself, no matter what my career choice is going to be, my purpose on this planet is to use my voice to build and encourage people. Therefore, a lot of my goals are based around building and supporting and driving that purpose. Because I believe a lot of people, and I'm processing this thought out loud for the first time, I think maybe 50% of those people that fall off the wagon with their New Year's resolutions is because they're setting goals that have nothing to do with their purpose. And for those watching, here's what I would say. Every single human being on this planet is searching for fulfillment. Whether you are spiritual or not, you're searching for fulfillment. And many experts would say, and I believe this to be true as well, many experts would say that you do not experience fulfillment until you believe that what you're doing with your life is actually making a difference in the world. So for me, I believe that using my voice to build and encourage people wherever they find themselves, whatever storm or valley they're in, or wherever they are in life, I believe that is making a difference in the world. In fact, I've seen the impact that has had. So for me, my goals 99% of the time are wrapped around my inner purpose.
You know what's interesting
and they're
about
going to drive that.
What's interesting about that, and we'll come back to this because I've got more on this. When I think about the goals you were talking about earlier with, bench and weight, and you've got 100 push-ups a day, those type of goals actually might be a thing for you, because for you to be an effective communicator, you've got to be on top of your health.
Exactly. In fact, I was about to make that connection because some
I'm like,
people might
man,
have
that
been
was like,
thinking,
I'm just like thinking through it.
some people might have been thinking, wait a second, what is working out 3 times a week have to do with that? It has a lot to do with that, and for me, I'm communicating a lot throughout the week. So, I'm speaking on the weekend to hundreds of people. I do 9 meetings a week, one of which is going to be a staff meeting. That's minimal meetings a week. That's not including my lunches and my coffees that I do with individuals. And so for me, I have found, because there have been seasons of my life where I've been out of shape. I have found that I think clear. My clarity of thought is better when I'm in shape physically. And so, yeah, again, all of my goals, 99% of them, I'm going to leave that 1% in case there's a goal out there that doesn't attach itself to my purpose. But all of them attach to my purpose. And here's the key to that. My motivation is different then.
Hmm.
If I know that these goals that I've set for myself in 2021 are attached to helping me achieve my purpose and why I'm here on this earth, and when I know that when I'm operating in that, I'm experiencing fulfillment, which is the greatest joy a human being can experience on this planet. When we're operating in our purpose and experiencing that fulfillment, now I have a whole nother motivation behind what I'm doing. And so, look, I'll tell you at the end of the day, like there's a lot of days I don't feel like. Sometimes I beat myself up and want to punch myself for setting the goals that I set for myself, because I'm trying to I'm really trying to push myself even harder. The older I get, I set some pretty big, ambitious goals. But again, what drives me to stick with the plan is knowing that, man, this is my purpose and this is going to help me be better at my purpose.
Yeah.
And in so doing, I'm going to experience fulfillment, which everyone watching, whether you're spiritual or not, that's what you're seeking. And I would say for a lot of you, that's what you're missing. You're missing why are you here? And I believe every person on this planet has value and has something to add to the human race. And that is your ultimate purpose. And if you can discover that and set your goals accordingly, man, what higher achievement can you find in your life? And so I would encourage people to start there. What is your purpose? Why are you here?
Man, okay. And you just made the statement, spend the rest of your year doing that, which I agree. If you don't know what that is, I think that's where to start. So I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah,
What
happens a lot.
let put you on the spot here. We
Yep.
just told them that's what they need to do. So let's give them
Yeah.
some practical steps. What is it? I know you mentioned, you had a few questions in there, but if they were to say, okay, where should I start? What's three things I could do today to really discover what my purpose is? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say at first it starts with really kind of self-awareness. So, and again, it was a journey for me. In fact, before 5 years ago, I know that I had encouraged a lot of people to discover their purpose, and yet I could not articulate my purpose like I can now. So I would say a few things that you could do, a few questions you could ask yourself that will get you started on this journey. Number one is, man, what are you more passionate about than anything else? Like, what is your number one passion? And you could look at your hobbies. You could look at where you spend your free time. You could look at what creates a burden inside of you when you see something, right? So for me, prior to 5 years ago, I would have told you my purpose is to help people. I want to help people. Well, that's pretty generic. And I have this deep inner desire inside of me to help people, but that's too generalized. That's a broad statement that I really need to zero in on. Okay. So start there. What are you more passionate about than anything else? What are you burdened for? What do you have a burden for? Okay. Then number two, once you can answer that question, then ask the question, why? Why am I so passionate about this thing? Why do I have this burden for fixing this thing or helping these people or whatever your burden is? You got to find the why behind what you're passionate about or what you're carrying the burden for. Then number three, and I am processing this out loud as I'm saying it. Number three, and we'll keep it real simple, 3 questions. Then number three is, okay, what gift or talent do you have to solve those problems? Okay. So again, for me, when I first went on this journey, I was like, man, I just have a burden and a passion to help the underdog. I want to help people who are stuck. I want to help people who have nowhere else to turn and they've got big questions and they just need someone to cheer them on. That was my burden and my passion. And again, that was a broad range of that. That could have been hurting children. That could be someone that's going through marital issues. I mean, it was just anybody that was in a psychological storm or valley, I had a burden to help. Okay, so I was able to answer that question. And then number two, I was like, man, why? And my why was attached to my childhood and my experience and the things that I've been through. So then once I was able to answer those two questions, then I thought, okay, well, what gift or talent do I have to help them? And then I realized it's my voice. And so I have been given the gift, in whatever small measure it may be, to encourage people when they're in those storms and those valleys. And so then I was like, hey, well, my purpose then is to use my voice to build people up and encourage them in whatever season of life they find themselves. And so I think that's a good start. I wouldn't say, and I'll probably come up with 50 other questions when I'm laying in bed tonight, but I think those three questions are a great place to start, because there's already something in you that you're passionate about. There's already something you're carrying a burden for that you want to fix, solve, or do better or pursue. Then you've got to dig into the why of that. And it's important that you know the why to that, right? You've got to know why, because your why is the deepest part of your inner being that is going to drive you to accomplish your purpose. And if you do not know the why behind what you're passionate about or what you're burdened for, you won't have the drive or the fuel you need to accomplish that fulfillment that you're seeking, right? And then again, once you discover the why, now let's look at, what do you have? What do you have in your talents, your skills, or your giftings to accomplish that? Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I don't have any gifts or talent. Yes, you do. And I'm a firm believer. Everybody has a gift or a talent that can be attached to your purpose. Now, you may need to build that skill. You may need to work on that skill. And of course, again, that's something you'll do the rest of your life as well, but you have something in you. And I think that's important for everybody to believe. Everybody watching right now, again, whether you're spiritual or not,
Right.
You have to believe that there's a gift and a talent inside of you somewhere. There's a diamond in there. And the reason it's important that you believe that is because that's going to drive you to go and search for it and find it.
That's good.
If you don't think it's there, you won't search and find it.
That's good.
And if you don't search and look for it, then you're not going to find it. And if you don't find it, you won't be able to drive your why, and you won't be able to experience fulfillment and purpose in your life. And so here's what I would say to everyone watching right now. You can absolutely experience fulfillment in this world. I don't care how much money you have or don't have. I don't care what talents and gifts you think you have or don't have. Every human being on this planet can experience fulfillment, and we're all searching for it. And it starts with discovering your purpose and walking in that purpose. And by the way, your purpose cannot be attached to a job title.
It's good.
And it cannot be attached to a career. It can be a part of your career. It can drive your career. And sometimes maybe your title can reflect that, and your job description can reflect that. But oftentimes, and for a lot of people, it won't. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you cannot experience your purpose and walk in that purpose. No matter what my job title is, 10, 15, 20 years from now, I will be using my voice to build and encourage people, no matter what my job title is or my job description, because that's where I find fulfillment. And I can do that no matter what job I'm doing in this world. So,
Wow.
yeah, there you go.
That was pretty good on the spot there, man.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Well, no, what's great about that is, I think for people that are listening or watching, and you're sitting there going, okay, I haven't really done this before, or maybe I've done it, it's never been effective, or I tried really hard this year and I've already bombed. I think it's good to say, okay, take a step back, just focus on this one thing. And
Yeah.
when you do this right, like you said, it will drive not only why you do it, what you do, but it'll also prepare you to set the right goals for the future, to know what you want to become, that line up the things that you know who you are
Yeah.
and why you're doing it. So
Yeah.
I think it's really powerful.
Yeah. And I would say to anyone watching, look, what you just said and how people are feeling like, man, I don't think I can do this. I've already given, fallen off. I've already felt everything that all those thoughts, I've had those thoughts. There have been times I've wanted to give up. There's been times I felt like I wasn't making any progress in my life. But here's what's interesting. Let's go back to that compounding interest term, right? It's that a little bit over time adds up to a lot.
Yeah.
And I would encourage everyone that's watching right now, whether you set 3 goals, whether you find your purpose this year, whether you have 10 goals and you accomplish 2, or you set 10 and you accomplish 0. My biggest encouragement to you right now is don't stop trying. That when you encounter, and I counsel a lot of people, I work with a lot of people who in this realm of purpose and meaning and fulfillment, most of my lunches and coffee is dealing with people who are trying to find the answer to these things. What I have found to be true, and this is my opinion, and from my experience, all I have any stats to back this up. Most people who, especially in America, who are just walking through this life, they've got a 9-to-5 job, maybe they're married, maybe they have kids, maybe they're financially successful, maybe they have success in their life, but they're still just almost like robots. I mean, there's just no joy in their life. There's no peace. What I have found when I've spent time with those individuals is that somewhere along the way, they stopped believing that they can make a difference in this world. Now, I am a millennial, all right? And so we all grew up with the Disney movies, convincing us we can change the world and make a difference in the world. And what seems to happen is that we grow up with all these big ideas and these things that we want to do. And somewhere along the way, we accept reality and we stop pursuing our purpose. So then what happens? We then start pouring ourselves into our careers, our jobs, and our success, and our bank accounts, and our accolades. And what happens over and over and over again, and I've sat down with very, very successful businessmen who are multimillionaires, who have achieved just about anything you want to achieve in the business world. And yet I'm sitting across from a 65-year-old businessman who sold 15 companies and has more money than he could buy a private island, but yet he still hasn't experienced fulfillment. Do you know why? Because somewhere along the way in the past, he stopped believing that he can make a difference in this world. Therefore, he stopped pursuing, discovering what his actual purpose is, and he hasn't found any meaning or fulfillment in his career, his success, and his accolades. So here's my point. Pursue a career. Pour your life into what you do. I think that is important. But if you don't know what your purpose is, and your purpose is not attached to that, then you're going to achieve, especially for the high achievers, right? And James, you're one of them as well. We're just wired that way. We're high achievers. You're going to get there one day. Wherever there is for you, you're going to get there. And what I don't want to happen to you is that you get there and there's still a void in your life. And that void's going to be there if you haven't found fulfillment in what you're doing. And you can't find fulfillment if you don't know what your purpose is. So here's my point. Don't give up. Keep pushing yourself. Understand compounding interest is a real thing. So you continue to set goals for yourself every single year. Don't stop setting goals for yourself. Keep trying to make yourself better. And over time, believe it or not, you're going to get good at setting these goals and achieving them. And compounding interest over time will lead you to discovering your purpose that will ultimately lead to that fulfillment that you're searching for. Don't give up. Search for that, because that's where meaning is found for every human being on this planet.
That's how I'm going to close. Don't give up. Don't give
up.
Really good.
Don't give up.
And Zach, I just want you to know too, so everyone can hear, some of the most exciting times in my life were working on projects that we did together, building a feeding center in Nicaragua, drilling wells in Africa. That was exciting. A lot of people don't know we worked together for several years, and that was super assemblies. Exciting. School assemblies, man, that was exciting. Yeah, it really was. They're exciting times. And I just want to encourage you that you are using your voice to make a difference. You're building people up. And that's something that I saw in those times, that I needed somebody that could carry that, like I feel like I'm behind the scenes building stuff and putting systems together, which you're good at too, but you were able to step up and lead people to a realm that they didn't know they could go to. and it's pretty exciting. So
Well, I appreciate it, man. I couldn't have done it without you for sure. We made a good team.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. So where can they find you if someone wants to reach out and connect with you? What would be a good way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on Instagram, Zach Gryder, and then Facebook, of course, and then I'll give you my email, Zach, ZACH at HRC .email.
Cool.
So yeah, anybody wants to reach out. I love talking with people. I love learning. I know I've given a lot of information, but I am a learner as well. Despite my empty bookshelf behind me, I do have lots of books. I just have them in a box right now because I'm about to transition. But I love learning, and I love, and the way that I learn is by spending time with people and just listening to their journey and where they are. I'm not an expert at this whatsoever. I'm on the same journey, and oftentimes when I am a pastor, and so I preach every weekend, and anytime people come up and say, man, that message was so good, it really resonated, I always tell them, listen, I'm just preaching to myself. You just get to listen. And so I'm on this journey myself, and I'm constantly reflecting on what is my legacy going to be whenever I leave this planet, and whatever that looks like. And so legacy is left with people, not in things. And so I would encourage people that as well. Legacy is left. Your legacy will be carried on and left in the people you spent time with, not in the things that you built or your bank accounts. And so keep that in mind as well, and invest in people and love people. So
that's awesome. Well, we already talked about it earlier. You know how we close this out. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm not letting you get by, bro.
I'm caffeinated up, bro.
All right. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for joining us again. And let's close this out with a dance.
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
Well, one, I love Zach because he's my friend, not just because he could beat me up, but it was fun bringing him on and talking through his perspective and also his journey on growth in setting goals and aspirations on what you want to become in the future. And we've actually been studying that really hard lately and doing that as something to help others. So tell people about what we've been doing.
Well, this guy right here, Viktor Frankl, wrote a book a while back called Man's Search for Meaning. And he talks about people really are looking for meaning. They want something really like in their life they can chase that's meaningful to them. And so we do a session called Hero on a Mission, because man, if you haven't heard like somebody like Matthew McConaughey or people like that out in the spotlight that really get it, talk about you are the hero in your own story, and you can go chase amazing things in your life and create a story with fates that hand in hand, you can go do some amazing things. And so we have a fantastic session that we do called Hero on a Mission, and it helps you find what that is in your life. And if you already know what it is, it helps you define it even better and how to get there. It gives you steps along the way to find it and make sure you're heading in the right direction. So we are actively sending people there to do that.
Yes, it'll not only create more productivity, but it'll create more drive and purpose toward where you're going with your future and how those things line up versus it just being, what am I going to do today? Even if you're a productive person. So we can take individuals, teams, entire companies through this workshop. So we'll put a link down below. Check out Hero on a Mission. Thank you guys for joining us at the end of January as we're wrapping up this month. We'll see you next week. And we believe when a business leader aligns their team with their message, they become unstoppable.